Welcome to Rotowire. We have live draft coverage coming tonight. We have NFFC Rotowire Online Championship $250,000 grand prize. This we'll go over some draft parameters. Draft will be starting in about 6 minutes and change. I'm going to try to actually retweet this one out as we go as well. But as we talk through the parameters of this, full PPR, 6 points per passing touchdown. The roster requirements, we have quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, flex, defensive special teams, and a team kicker. Now, this is 3rd round reversal, so that's a very important part of this draft. And I'm trying to get this retweet. Just give me a second here to get this thing on the road, and then we'll make sure everybody who wants to watch this can watch this. All right, reposted that out. Now I could do a little bit of work here. All right, sounds good. All right, so 3rd round reversal, as I said. This is not best ball for those who don't play NFFC or you're going to start playing hopefully soon. It's full season fab, so you are drafting with roster moves and all the good stuff there. So I see Joe Bartle's in the house. Love some Joe Bartle. Joe, let's see. I appreciate you greatly, Joe. And Joe, like I said, Joe's one of the great people at Rotowire. Think the world of Joe. You're missing out if you're missing his shows. Joe's on Sirius XM. You could catch him Fridays on the channel. Also does Angel Fire Radio. This is Channel 87, the Fantasy Sports Channel. You definitely want to catch Joe there. Joe's on the Rotowire Fantasy Football Podcast. But you definitely want to make sure you're following Joe at JB Fantasy Sports. I don't do enough shows with Joe. We'll have to get that fixed at some point. All right, back to the NFFC Rotowire Online Championship with the $250,000 grand prize. I already told you, full PPR, 6 points passing touchdown, 3 receivers, 3rd round reversal. I told you that as well. I told you it was not best ball, full season fab. The top 2 teams in each 12-team league, they make the grand prize tournament. However, I learned this last year. If you have a great season scoring points and you don't end up in the top 2, you can get in as a wild card. I did it last year. I had a great scoring team and didn't make the top 3, but made the tournament, which was great. Didn't get all the way there, but it was a pretty decent run. Was happy with that. Anyway, one more thing. This Kentucky Derby style draft order. So what you do is you go list the desired draft spot from 1 to 12. And then when the site randomizes wherever that works out, and my first draft I had done a while back, I ended up with 1,000 fab. Thank you, Uncle Ted. Yeah, 1,000 fab in this one. So but as I was saying, I lost my train of thought a little bit there. But anyway, I picked in the 4th spot. And this time I end up in the 6th spot. And I like those spots at the draft. Everybody's going to have differing ways they're going to approach these drafts. But what I will tell you is this. The NFFC has a phenomenal, and you go at playnffc.com. You go there, and they have a wonderful ADP tool. And what you can do is you can separate it by the last week, or longer, shorter. When we get into August, every couple days. When you hit August, I would say 2 days is enough. But that said, early on, a week or 2 is probably about right. Obviously, players like Rashee Rice and Quinshon Judkins, they may not be factored in enough because of their situations. Jordan Addison, I think it was kind of baked in the ADP already. We don't know what his scenario is going to be or Rice, but we do expect them to miss time. But again, you can't ever speak on behalf of the league because when you do, you look like a fool. We don't want to do that. So anyway, though, with the KDS, I like those middle. But back to the ADP, why I thought it was a big deal. And we're about 2 minutes and 40 seconds till draft time. And what I thought was you use the ADP, and then I like ranges of players. I don't get sniped in drafts unless it's the very, very, very last player of a tier and I was holding out for it. Then it's shame on me. It's not shame on anybody else. But what I do is I look at the recent ADP and I look my ranges of players, and I like to see on the ADP where some of those ranges of players are going to fall. And again, players are going to go early, players are going to go late. But if you're looking at a range, ADP is really helpful, especially when you're doing KDS, Kentucky Derby style, And so I found out for the ranges of players I liked, currently that 4 to 6 spot was my sweet spot, where it seemed like I would get a good number of those ranges of players I'm really excited about. Every spot is good in its own way, right? But again, like I said, this is strategic because you have that ability to set the KDS, and I just need to point that out. That's a great feature of the NFFC. Again, you go to playnffc.com. The Rotowire Online Championship is the longest running $350 entry contest in fantasy football industry. Again, as I said, a $250,000 grand prize, live drafts, slow drafts that go every single day. And again, to get into this one more time, playnffc.com. All right, we got about a minute and 15 till draft time. Everyone gets 20 rounds of drafting here. Third round reversal. I'm going to reset this as we're getting. I am pick 6. There are no names on the draft board to protect those who are drafting in multiple leagues. Some people don't want their draft strategy tipped off. So definitely, if somebody does mention in the chat, you're definitely welcome to go there. We got Paul in the house. Paul is in the 8th spot, so that's good. Paul declared that, so I have no issue talking about that because Paul made that public. So we get to that point. Be happy to talk about Paul's draft, talk about everybody's draft. You know how this goes. This we got Dan. Dan's in the 12th spot. Welcome. Jamie's in the house. Hello. And what else? Yeah, Uncle Ted, whatever the fab is, it should be 1,000. Whatever is the same amount. It's always, I never remember exactly what the number is, but it's always equal for everybody. So even if it was $100, it would all work out the same. But yes, I think it's 1,000 top five. Somebody will tell me that. So many different fabs, and I'm not at that point yet. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Paul's telling me pick 6. I could change it to Jameis Winston. I tell you about Jameis Winston. We got 5 seconds. I call him both the Grinch and Santa. He's the Grinch because he throws the picks, but he's Santa because he piles up the points. All right, we're drafting here. Let's get this. Jamar Chase goes number 1. Very expected. That's been very common. Tom Kessick and I have been breaking these drafts down. Justin Jefferson goes number 2. So JJ there. JJ, it's been wonderful. Let's see. Darren's in the house. We got Slider Stinks in the 10 spot. Looks at. All right. Yep. Jahmyr Gibbs goes in the 3 spot. We've been seeing more of that. Gibbs has been going very high in recent drafts. Bijan Robinson goes 4. CD Lamb goes 5. Now, people are going to roast me for my pick, but we're in a tournament here, right? And I want to take a shot, like everybody, to take this thing down. I have Barkley as my highest rated running back, but I want this opportunity to diversify, and this player often goes later. But I am going to take my shot, and I am giving McCaffrey a shot here. And I will, as I draft him, I will explain. I have 30 seconds so I can talk him in. So the last 3 years, McCaffrey's played 2 seasons of full football. Last year was a training injury. It wasn't a football injury. So that said, in his full seasons, he's been the overall running back 1 or the overall running back 2. Nobody has that resume in a tournament. If there's a 12-team league with just 12 people, there's no way I'm taking him here. I am fading him here, but where the risk reward comes off, yeah, this is the player I want. So definitely going after the player I think can take down the tournament, even in the first round, because there's a point where you just got to make that decision. Saquon goes 7, so that ends up being a great deal. Saquon has been falling. Albert's in the house. And, you know, what I understand with Saquon is everybody's on this narrative now about, you know, the 482 touches. And I get it. It's a big number. And Jordan, all right, Jordan's in the house. Malik Neighbors going 8th. And I know people are on the bandwagon with the Barkley thing. And I do have to say, what's interesting to me is that with Saquon and all the other running backs, we can't forget that the league's defense, the base, is what we call the 4-2-5. 2 linebackers and 6 players commonly in the box. Sometimes a 7th will creep down, but it's a safety if it is often. And Brian Thomas goes with the 9 pick. So we got, and Ashton Genty goes 10. So right now we got this little split of 5 receivers and 5 running backs. But I'm really believing that we are going to see fewer running back injuries. You could get a hat on each run defender. Common linebackers average weigh 230 pounds. It's been going down, down, down. They have to be faster to stop the pass. And so I think that, and teams are offense are leaning into the run because you're not getting these thumpers hitting you anymore. If you get blocked out from the defensive lineman, which you've got enough hats to block them, it's a very interesting dynamic. And I'm really on that idea that last week's running back health had to do with that. All right, let's see. We got at the turn, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devon Achane. Very nice turn. You got your running back and your wide receiver there, and Puka Nacua and Derrick Henry. So we see the running back receiver for both Team 11 and Team 12 like that start. I want to make sure my queue is ready to roll here. So get that couple players locked up here. And all right, let's see what else I want to do here. So I want to take a moment, make sure I have what I want in this queue. All right, let's see. All right, and Team 10 is on the clock. So let's see if I can find. It's going to be funny. Drake London goes at 10. So we have now and Buck Irving. So teams 9 through 12 have each gone running back receiver to start this thing out. And Team 8, Nico Collins doubles up, and I'm on deck, so I'm going to take a moment to do a little thinking here and see how I quite want to handle this one. All right, let's see. I got that in the queue. Okay. Yeah, I think I know the way I want to go with this. All right, and we'll see what Team 7 does here. A lot of great drafters in here. Is excited for this opportunity to draft. And I mean, I have a real hard time remembering who is who. As we're going through because this chat's going to be rolling up on me. Team 7's got 27 seconds left to go here. And then I'm going to be on the clock as well. Okay, A.J. Brown goes. That was the end of my wide receiver tier that I had here. And so this puts me in a spot where I'm happy with this, though. And goes a little bit later this in most drafts. But you know what? I got the wild card risk reward of McCaffrey. I want a real safe player here. And a safe player is the way that I'm going to approach this. But I'm going to go with the running back safe player. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. We saw that the way that the Packers went in the second half last season. And Jamie, I am not taking Roschon Johnson. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the Roschon Johnson hate. And then Chase Brown goes right after. So again, we see about 4-6 teams going with that running back receiver start, and there's a good chance we'll get at least another one here. Now, remember, third round reversal here. Okay, we're gonna be having that coming up in a few picks, so we'll see how that all shakes out, and we'll go from there. And set up a little bit of cue. Jonathan Taylor, so another team, the other 4 and 6, we've both gone running back. Let's see here. Get a little time. I've set my queue for a while. We're okay here. And yeah, so Uncle Dad points out, so pick 12, they get the turn, and then they're going to have the third round reversal. And obviously, there are a lot of people that like that spot in Kentucky Derby style. You definitely can have that opportunity to make the run for that. Lad McConkey off the board, so we have another running back receiver setup. Team 2 comes in with a double up of Justin Jefferson and Jackson Smith-Njigba, 2 wide receivers start their draft. Number 1's got that decision to make here. And with Chase Brown off the board, Tom Kessenich and myself have been noticing that there were teams that were taking Chase and then Chase Brown and getting that Bengals hookup going. But obviously with Chase Brown going to Team 5, even if that's what Team 1 wanted to do, that's obviously not even in play here. Let's see if there's any team. The team Kyron Williams goes. So again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 teams went running back receiver here. So that's, and then we have 2 teams going running back, and 2 teams going running back receiver. In the third round reversal, Team 12 goes in with Garrett Wilson to give him a real nice wide receiver pairing of St. Brown and Garrett Wilson to go with Devon Achane. Brock Bowers breaks the seal on the tight end, the Team 11. So they have a running back, Derrick Henry, then receiver Puka Nacua, and then Brock Bowers. And I need to make sure I get my queue set up here. The beautiful thing with NFFC, and obviously a lot of sites do this, but you can set your own rankings. And I love using the CSV. They let you download their list and you reorder them the way you want them. And I really love that setup because it gives me my opportunity to, when I'm doing a draft like this, well, I've already got my players set up on my board. So I just a fantastic setup for the way this works out. All right. So, Josh Allen, first quarterback off the board, and then team 8 comes back with Trey McBride. So Bowers and McBride going within 4 picks of each other. And Bowers is pretty much the universal tight end one. But as I pointed out, from week 5 on last year, when Arizona went to their 2 tight end base as opposed to Greg Dortch and the 3 receiver set, we noticed that Trey McBride outscored Brock Bowers. And actually, from their buys, Bowers and McBride last year had like week 10 and 11 buys. And I'm on the clock here. All right. So let's see here. You know what I am? I'm going to, you know what? I have 2 different positions of players I like here. And this is, yeah, you know what? Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I'll explain this in a minute. So I am not like extremely excited about the running backs on the board, but I've been talking up Brees Hall lately because last year was a very disappointing year. And I heard the Brees Hall interview where he said he played through a sprained MCL all year. So when I heard that, it's like, well, wait a minute, then if that was the issue, then I'm not worried about a committee in New York anymore. All of a sudden now it's like, you're not going to say Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen are going to be equal to Brees Hall. The coach could talk committee all he wants, but if Brees Hall was not healthy, that's a completely different ballgame. So Brees Hall last year, we were drafting him as either the running back 1 or the running back 2 overall. And is he really any different of a player if he's healthy? And I would say no. So to get him in the 3rd round, I'm going to say, yeah, 3 running backs. We have a flex. Obviously, I'm not going to have to deal with running back for a while based on this. The bye weeks are different for all 3, which helps. Lamar Jackson is off the board. So we have our 3 top quarterbacks within a 5-pick span. And then we have a little mini run on receivers, which may be a larger run as we see. We have Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, and Devontae Adams. Now, T. Higgins earlier in draft season was commonly going right around wide receiver 12. Tyreek Hill was going more like wide receiver 15 or 16. So it was interesting just for whatever reason to see Higgins go after Tyreek Hill. And Marvin Harrison was going around wide receiver 18. So it's interesting to see if maybe some of the crowd is starting to wonder if T. Higgins, like I thought, was maybe a little too steamed up at that ADP of wide receiver 12. Because remember, T. Higgins never had an 1,100-yard season. Been in the league 5 years. He's never had 110 targets and 5 games missed 2 years in a row. So maybe when people are on the clock in these important leagues, maybe that's the situation. Maybe it's like, you know what? Can't really do it. Back to team 1. Team 1 comes in with Joe Burrow to get the pairing with Jamar Chase. Team 2 gets their first running back, James Cook, and Tom Kessenich loves James Cook in the 4th round. So that's actually for team 2. They end up, if he can, James Cook can match some of that touchdown volume from last year. That would be a very fantastic thing for him. All right, let's see what we got here. Team 3 is on the board, and Jahmyr Gibbs, Ladd McConkey, T. Higgins. And I'm just going to make sure my DJ Moore off the board. All right, let me just take a look here and see what I want to do in terms of my roster. Okay, looks good there. And just getting my queue set here. I want to make sure that's always in order. 3 picks. Team 3 now and team 2 both have 3 receivers and a running back. And this is a start 3 receiver league. That's always a smart play to go. And then you get the fool like me that goes 3 running backs. But again, like I said, there's always many ways. I just am excited about the upside potential of McCaffrey and Hall. We'll see what happens. Mike Evans goes off the board and DK Metcalf goes off the board. So at this point, I will say, and I got 54 seconds, so I could talk this one through a little bit. So yeah, that was right at the end of the tier, which is my fault. Took 3 running backs. So I'm going to be between 2 positions here. And I want to see what I want the high floor or if I want to go with a different position. You know what? I don't normally take a tight end here, but I am not happy with any of these receivers as a wide receiver 1. So I think I will make the move with George Kittle. I'll add him here. Again, I am a wait on tight end person, but again, when you think through these drafts, you have to be, I call it pliable in a draft. You always have to be willing to adjust on the fly. Xavier Worthy goes here. And so now just kind of going through the teams here. And we see that we have the two teams at the top, 2 and 3, 3 receivers each. The only running back heavy build is mine with 3. Team 4 has a pair of running backs and a real nice duo, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, to go with Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans. So the balance there. We obviously have 4 quarterbacks off the board, and we have 3 tight ends off the board. So that's kind of diluting the talent pool out there a little bit. We'll see how the next tiers of those go. There are, for many, there's at least one more quarterback in this tier. Tight ends, we're going to see how long the dip is because universally considered as a tier drop here. Cortland Sutton off the board as a wide receiver 3 to team 8 to go Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Trey McBride, and Sutton. And all right, let's see what we got here. While we're doing this quickly, I want to make a quick read here that Rotowire has completely revamped their site and their tools. And I can't tell you, I am so excited to be a part of the new chapter of Rotowire. And aside from our draft kit and articles, we have an excellent mock draft tool, a draft assistant that allows you to customize your own draft plan. If you want access to all this, we have a special 15% offer. Go to rotowire.com, pick out your subscription, and you use the code YouTube15 at checkout. Also, if you're enjoying this draft, and if you want to draft in one of these with me again, 2 weeks from tonight, I will be drafting in another Rotowire Online challenge and streaming that one as well. I did post it on my X earlier tonight. It'll be pinned tomorrow. This draft is currently pinned there for the video. So there's that. And let's see what we got here. Uncle Ted, not a 49ers fanboy. There's the value on the board, but the 49ers actually, per Warren Sharp, have about the easiest schedule in the league this year. And it's a pretty beautiful thing. And it's a really good schedule of opposing defenses. And look, Jawan Jennings is kind of crowing about his contract, and we're not quite sure what Brandon Ayuk's real health status is. So these are things that we have to think about. And, maybe it's and even if Kittle gets his normal targets, we're good. Joe, maybe I already answered this once. The Kittle, does Xavier Worthy getting sort of bump at Rashee Rice? So good question. And since he's off the board, I could talk about it. So the thing with Worthy is Worthy had to take on the Rashee Rice role last year. He was drafted to be the downfield guy, right? Well, when Rashee Rice was out with the LCL knee injury, they had to work Worthy into that role, and Worthy did well in it. But look, Xavier Worthy is not Rashee Rice. So here's the thing with Worthy. He has a temporary big bump. But when Rashee Rice is back, that's Rashee Rice's job. He was 96th percentile yard after the catch. So Worthy goes back to being a deep threat, in my opinion, when Rice is back. So I think the big bump early for Worthy is great, but I am concerned to see what the role is later because we didn't see it last year. Because last year, I remember Hollywood Brown missed the whole season other than a cameo late and things like that. So it was just a very interesting scenario. But again, definitely a bump early, but not overly excited later. All right, let's see what we got here. Getting ready for the next set of picks here. All right, here we go here. Okay, good. All right, queued up here and ready to roll. All right, so Team 12 has a nice 3 receiver and 2 running back split, nice balancer. Calvin Ridley's been going earlier and earlier in drafts. He just went off the board to Team 9. That's our friend Nate Jump. Nate has Brian Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, and Calvin Ridley at receiver to go at Bucky Irving and Josh Allen. A nice base to a team there. Omari and Hampton goes to Team 8 as their running back 1. To go with Neighbors, Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton, and tight end Trey McBride. We already see Team 7 with a big Philly Eagles influence going with Saquon, A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts. So if the Eagles have a huge season on offense, this is going to be to the benefit of Team 7. And they had Devontae Smith, so they are completely all in on this. Okay, there is no doubt at this point that this is going to be a very crazy wide receiver room I am going to have. So right now I am going to be in the situation where there's nobody safe here at all. So I have to take a bit of a risk. I think the risk I'm going to take is going to be, and again, don't laugh too hard at this one. I just kind of think I'm in this boat right now. I'm going to have to go with Jalen Waddle. And the only rationale is this: Jonnu Smith vacated 111 targets. They really didn't add a tight end. Devon Achane can't catch more than the 78 passes he caught last year. And Tyreek Hill's clearly not happy there. Waddle's targets went down to like 83 last year. He was normally in the 111 range the prior year. So I do think Waddle by default has to get targeted. I don't think they have any other way. And I think Mike McDaniel had to learn last year that dumping the ball off to your tight end and your running back was not going to be a winning recipe for football. I know they mitigated a bad line. So anyway, obviously I was desperate for a receiver at that point, and I just felt like Waddle, if he could get targets, will at least give me some baseline of scoring. But this is what you do. You take your, you go 3 running backs, and it depends how the board falls down. And yeah, definitely the receivers were very well drafted by the other teams in the league. And so in drafts, you got to be pliable. So you got to be willing to have a strategy and work around it. So yeah, so this could make the draft nice and fun. George Pickens and Jameson Williams go off the board to team 4 and team 3. Team 3 has 4 receivers to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. Team 4 is a nice balance of 3 receivers and 2 running backs. Patrick Mahomes off the board to team 2. Gives them their quarterback 1, and we're going to be on the turn for team 1 that has Jamar Chase, Kyren Williams, Terry McLaurin, and Joe Burrow. We'll see what team 1 chooses to do here as we come back around. All right, let's see here. All right. I'm going to set my cue here a little bit as we go. Okay. We're in the 5th round. This is the Rotowire Online Championship, $250,000 grand prize on the line. We're full PPR, 6 points per passing touchdown. It's a start 3 receiver, obviously a flex in here. We had 3rd round reversal. This is not best ball. It's full season fab. The top 2 teams in each league make the playoffs. There also is a potential for a wild card team on points scored. That's how I made last year. As I got a team with a lot of points that was 3rd, still made it there. And I am picking in the 6th spot here. And all right, let's see. We got James Conner. That at the end of the 5th round, Conner criminally undervalued every year. Fantastic value here at the end of the 5th, giving team 1 their running back 2. And Chris Godwin goes off the board. So a trio of wide receivers of Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin. Travion Henderson is the running back 2 for team 2 to give them James Cook, Henderson duo in that backfield. Rashee Rice goes off the board to team 3 as their 5th receiver. And as a 5th receiver, it makes a lot of sense. We don't know what the discipline on Rice will be, but team 3 is not necessarily going to be counting on Rice right away, but we'll hope to have a wide receiver 1 when he does get back on the field. Obviously, the bye week's not an issue there either. RJ Harvey goes to team 4, and Sam Laporta. That puts me on the board. And again, I am going to be cobbling together a wide receiver room. So we are going to go to Chicago and hope that a former first top 10 pick of the Chicago Bears, Rome Odunze, can have his little breakout year, Caleb Williams, and a little bit of Ben Johnson calling the shots. So we'll take Rome Odunze. This is going to be there'll be like a lot of antacids taken every Sunday morning when Jake's setting this lineup for sure. Sam Laporta, I said earlier, there would be a gap between the tight ends. Kittle went in the middle of the 4th, almost 2 rounds later. Sam Laporta, that's a pretty typical wait out for that. So good there. And we are going to be approaching the 7th round here. Halfway through the 6th right now. Looking at some team builds here. Let's see here. I point out team 7 as that 4 Philadelphia Eagles. And that's interesting. The 4th one because if they are super pass heavy, then the 3 passing game units work. This is going to have to be one of those things where the Eagles defense may have to take a step back, and they're going to force them to have to score a ton of points to get 4 players every week to contribute. That'll be fun to watch. It'll be very, very fun to watch. Isaiah Pacheco, definitely been a value this year. Remember last year, he was getting drafted around running back 15, maybe even a little higher. He's getting steamed up right before draft season. And then that draft cost I always thought was too high, but this year, very fair draft cost. And it was a nice little run of running backs here. Pacheco, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, and Caleb Johnson. This is a really nice pocket of running backs available for these 4 fantasy managers that these should be very productive, high floor running backs. Swift should get a lot of volume. Montgomery's been a touchdown beast for Detroit. Pacheco, look, Kareem Hunt, very inefficient. I mean, obviously Pacheco, it's his job. Might give up some receiving work later to Brashard Smith. Pacheco caught like 40-something passes a couple of years ago. But that said, he still could be involved there. Caleb Johnson, certainly with the Steelers on a run-based offense. It was a very, very nice pocket of running backs. And we've had R.J. Harvey and Travion Henderson go a little earlier in that round. So I think the fantasy players in there found some really good values. Travis Hunter is the wide receiver 2 for Team 11 because they did add their quarterback and their tight end, Jaden Daniels and Brock Bowers, in the 3rd and 4th round. And it's like my draft, right? When you go with a certain position, then sometimes you find that, you got to piece things together. But again, Travis Hunter is their wide receiver 2. And then Team 12, they have 5 receivers and 2 running backs now, adding Jordan Addison and Jacoby Myers at the turn. Team 11 coming back with Chris Olave. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to take a look at my queue here. I'm a few picks away, but I want to make sure I get this one right. So the team's picking now. In the last round, all had gone running back. So we'll see how this shakes out here as well. All right, there's that. All right. All right, see what we got here. Well, that'll be interesting. Okay, kind of read the board up a little bit here. Trying to play chess here. Look a couple rounds ahead and try to make some general tactical predictions. So anyway, TJ Hawkinson off the board now. So Team 10 has their tight end. So that the balance there, you have 3 running backs for Team 10, Ashton Genty, Alvin Kamara, Caleb Johnson. Real nice trio there. And then the receivers, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, and Tet McMillan. Obviously, the 3 top receivers, each their respective offenses. Then to go with TJ Hawkinson, that should be a really fun team here. Anybody who's drafting, if you anything you want to put in the chat, I can kind of see it if it comes through now, and I can make any comments there. Or, if you have any questions or want me to say anything about your team, certainly would love to. I know people post their teams, but it's they're way up in the chat, and I can't really see them here. All right. Remember, 2 weeks from tonight, be drafting another one of these NFFC Rotowire Online Championships. Again, Friday, August 1st, same time as this one. If you're interested in that, I did put the link on my X at Jim Coventry NFL. It'll be pinned later, but for right now, if you want to draft with me, we'll stream that one as well. Aaron Jones off the board. Okay, so obviously I have a very weak wide receiver room, and the wide receivers have been really flying off the board. So I am going to go with Josh Downs here a little earlier than I normally would have considered taking him, but I'm in that point right now where that's where I have to make my move. Josh Downs has been quarterback proof through 2 years in the league. So he had 800 yards last year, missing a few games, plays about 76% of the snaps. So, that's it. He's on the field and he is weaponized regardless of quarterback. Ricky Pearsall off the board here. Ricky Pearsall should be fine eventually. And Juwan Jennings follows him, the 49ers players here. Pearsall right now, he's on the, I'll call it the pup list. I may misspeak that, so pardon me if I did misspeak that. And Juwan Jennings pining for extended contract. I can't see him having leverage to get it. We'll see how that shakes out. But Travis Kelce off the board along with Travis Etienne. Kelce is pretty universally the 6th tight end off the board, and he is in this draft as well. So we are now entering the 7-8 turn in this draft. And yeah, Dan asked about thoughts on Addison. Yeah, I think you're right that we commonly were thinking 2 to 3 games. I think that was the common thought for that. And I think to get Jordan Addison, at the end of the 6th round, especially in a league where the wide receivers were flying off the board. Yeah, I think that ends up being a really good pick for him. Yes, and that was, again, the very end of the 6th. So, yeah, 6-7 turn. I think people may have taken him maybe before that news, maybe almost a half to a full round earlier. So I think that's a good value. And again, you already have 5 receivers on the team 12. So I think what's good about that is obviously you don't need them during the suspension. The bye weeks don't hit yet. So there's that. Now, back to team 1 here. I really like the running back build here. Kyron Williams, James Conner, Tony Pollard going 2nd, 5th, and 7th round. Some very, very good value there. I'm very excited for that value, quite honestly, because Connor, he's the engine of that offense, and he got paid again. 2 most efficient seasons. He was more productive that 1 year, he had all those touchdowns, but his 2 most efficient seasons the last 2 years. Tony Pollard, I know they're talking committee. That offensive line in Tennessee may be significantly better. Dan Moore may not be a world beater at left tackle, but they brought him in. They brought in Kevin Zeitler, who can block on the interior. The 2 young guys they drafted are now getting a little experience. There's another player who evades me. So team 3, again, leaning into the wide receivers, go Deebo Samuel here. I'm up in a couple picks here. Let me just get things going here. Okay, just give me a second here. I want to make sure I get myself set up here. All right, I know what I need to do here. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, team 4 is on the now. Team 3 has 6 receivers and 2 running backs so far. So very, very strong wide receiver build. We got, I see those buys are spaced out real well. Team 4 is on the clock. We have 3 running backs and 4 running backs and 4 receivers. So again, balancing that out well. Emeka Ibuka off the clock, off the board. All right, we should be up here. Let me take a look here. This is one where I'm going to kind of stick to my guns. Typical quarterback who would be drafted here. I'm gonna go against the grain. I already have a volatile build as it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my guy here. No, his ADP is lower, but I'm taking Dak Prescott. I am fully of the mindset that Dallas won't be able to run the ball. Their defense has a lot of injured players. They're gonna have to score. In Dak's 3 healthy seasons, he's been the quarterback 2, the quarterback 3, and the quarterback 7. It's 6 points per passing touchdown in this league. There was another quarterback who's normally taken at that spot before, and I'm not saying any names. I'm on, if people are listening while they're drafting, that'd be not the right thing to do. So, but that said, Prescott's kind of my guy. So I'm going to take him here and then just kind of see where things fall from there. 8th round for me is about the time I want to make sure I do get a quarterback on my team. Don't want to, have a run hit and then just find I'm completely out on things. So yeah, that's an important component of it. All right, let's see what we got here. As we are coming in through the middle of the 8th round, again, there's we have a lot of running back, wide receiver heavy teams. I really love that. We saw team 3, 4, and 12 commit to that build of just running backs and wide receiver. I don't think I'm missing. I mean, it's team 3, 4, and 12. So that's a nice way to go here. We saw how many teams? Let's see here. We had team 11 was the only team to invest early in tight end and quarterback. And then we have 4 teams already that do have both Charlene's in the house. All right, Charlene. And we have 4 teams that have both a tight end and a quarterback already. David and Njoku off the board. So we're seeing a little bit of a run on tight ends here. In between Laporta was the middle of 6th, and then it went all the way to into the 7th, so not too far into the 7th. Hawkinson, Kelsey at the end, Andrews, and then Njoku. So we are seeing that little run on those tight ends. And we'll see where the league decides the tier dries up. We'll see if that was the end of that tier, or we'll see if there are other players in this league that believe there's another tight end or 2 that fit in this tier, and we'll find that out very, very soon. Again, everybody, we are drafting in the NFFC Rotowire Online Championship, 250,000 grand prize. This is full PPR, 6 points per passing touchdown. Bo Nix goes off the board there. It's a 3 receiver start, obviously a flex as well. We had a 3rd round reversal. This is not best ball. It's a fab league. And so we'll be able to say the top 2 teams in each league make that grand prize tournament. But again, a 3rd team could be a wild card based on points scored in terms of that. Oh, yeah, good question, Charlene. I am picking 6th here. And I went a little running back heavy early. And then Yeah, the wide receivers kind of went fast and furious, and so I'm kind of on the outside looking in at wide receiver. And I took Kittle because I didn't necessarily like any of the receivers at that point, so I thought that was the best value there. But the wide receiver, yeah, I'm gonna need a few things to go my way there. It's gonna be a white knuckle ride every week trying to set that lineup, so that should be fun. All right, let's see. As I'm trying to, I got a few picks off here now. Jalen Warren, we have Justin Fields goes to team 12. So again, they had their 8 running back and receivers and then backed it up there. Okay, let's see here. Darnell Mooney. All right, let me just set a couple things here. All right. There's a couple different ways I have to approach this. Okay. And we're still in the 9th round here right now. We're in the 9th round. Rotowire Online Championship, 250K online. Hey, at Rotowire, we got a lot of good things cooking there. We have content going up all the time. I'm writing about 3 articles a week. Our draft kit has been fully upgraded. We got a mock draft tool. If you want in on that, get you 15% off. You go to rotowire.com, pick out that subscription, and then you use the code YouTube15 at checkout. It's really Rotowire's had a whole new rebuild. I'm so excited to be part of that. Very, very exciting times at Rotowire. I am on deck here. Team 7's up, and then I am in the hole as we speak, getting ready to pick next. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, Evan Ingram goes. And obviously, with my build, there's a certain way in these drafts I often would go, but I am desperate for wide receiver help. And so I am going to take my shot on Keon Coleman. That's my wide receiver 4. Keon Coleman last year, about his last 5 games, it was like week 3 he started up, and he was averaging a good number of yards. Top of my head, I might have struggled with that right now, but he had a number of like 50-yard games. He was starting to come, and then he chipped a bone in his wrist. He obviously missed time, and when he came back, he was never a part of the offense after that. I have to think there may have been a recovery issue from that. But hey, outside top receiver for Josh Allen, probably not the worst thing in the world. Baker Mayfield goes off the board, and that was a quarterback that normally goes around quarterback 6 or 7. And that was the one I would have, normal draft would have said he's the head guy. But I'm with Dak Prescott on that one. That's kind of my guy there. And Dan, Jets. Yeah, what do you got, Dan? You're team 12. So you've got yourself Garrett Wilson. Yep, and you got Justin Fields. So you got yourself a nice little pairing there. So very nice there. J.K. Dobbins and Cam Scadaboo go off the board here next. So we got a couple of running backs there that both have paths to workloads that could be very, very solid. And we know that Sean Payton, if that defense plays as probably Coach Payton hopes, we could see 2 running backs be very relevant. And don't forget, Denver has an excellent offensive line. And then obviously a very well schemed up running game. The constant chatter I'm hearing is that they're talking about Dobbins as a receiver. And I thought when they drafted RJ Harvey, I was thinking Harvey would like more of a natural receiver, but that does not seem to be the way things are going there. So, and then they drafted Pat Bryant, and I guess, well, that's a receiver, but Sean Payton's really, really talking him up. Making those Michael Thomas references. Yeah, maybe not so fast, but hey, Peyton knows more than I know, right? Peyton's a genius and I'm not, so we'll give him that one. But I was excited there. But Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and Evan Ingram probably are the top 3 receivers in that offense. Tight end, Evan Ingram, of course. Trey Benson off the board, backing up James Conner. In case those 2-3 games Conner often misses, Benson definitely accepts in there. Rashad Bateman going off the board in the 10th round. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay. Tyler Warren off the board. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, I'm up at a couple picks here. And Tyler Warren is a tight end 1 for team 3. Probably right around tight end 12 here. I can't count the number here, but 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Tight end 10 or 11, it looks like. And then Jake Ferguson goes off the board to team 4. And all right, let's see what we got here now. Tyjae Spears, and that puts me on the clock here. All right, let's see what we're going to do here. All right. I kind of do expect a bit of a run to come at some point on this. And so what I'm going to do here is I am going to take my second quarterback because I've noticed in a lot of these leagues that'll happen. So I'm going to back up Prescott. I'm going to back him up with Caleb Williams. And we'll see if Ben Johnson can get something going there. But, Dak has the injury history. So he's, as much as I have him as a very high-ranked quarterback, the fact that he has missed significant time in 3 of the last 5 years, he's one of those quarterbacks I think you kind of got to back up if you can. And I don't want to go bottom of the barrel because if he does miss time and I have, like let's say some bottom feeder at quarterback, well, my chances of winning just kind of disappeared. So there's that. Yeah, Charlene likes J.J. McCarthy. It's interesting with McCarthy. Obviously, he's in a great system, and Sam Darnold did extremely well. So if that happens, certainly that can happen. But what I learned from Minnesota's offseason, well, they first go in free agency, and they picked up center Ryan Kelly, right guard Will Fries, first-round draft pick guard, and then they traded for Jordan Mason ahead of that, right? And so now it's telling me, blueprint-wise, they want to run the ball and play defense. They invested in their defense. They brought in Jonathan Allen. They brought in Javon Hargrave. So this team wants to play defense and run the ball. Now, Justin Jefferson will be fine. I don't think their plan is to throw the ball a lot unless they have to. So that's interesting there. And then the question comes about Michael Penix. Since he's still on the board, I won't talk about him yet. Let me actually let me make a point not to talk. I will talk about them when they go off the board. But when they're on the board, let me not, because I don't know who's in the draft. Kyler Murray goes off the board, quarterback 1 for team 8. And in terms of quarterback 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. So 12 quarterbacks off the board, which should mean one team does not have one. Team 3 will be looking for their first quarterback at some point in time, maybe in the near future. We'll see how that goes. And but I'm the only team with 2 quarterbacks at this point, and we're going to see if more teams join that equation. Ray Davis and Jared Goff. So, yeah, like I said, we probably will see some quarterbacks go. I know after I picked, we saw Kyler Murray go. Now we saw Jared Goff go. And Team 12, kind of like my thought is, he loves Justin Fields. I love Dak Prescott, but there is some risk with both. And so I think when you have those quarterbacks, I think it is important to take somebody who you can trust. And Goff in a 6-point per passing touchdown league does have significant value for that. Outside of that, let's see. We got Jerome Ford goes off the board. And that was with Quinshon Judkins. So I think Team 11 was smart using 10th and 11th round picks to try to secure a running back. They really don't have much else in the house. Dylan Sampson, 4th round pick. I think 4th round. I think it was 4th, not 5th. So yeah, because I think Baker's not Baker. I think Shedeur Sanders, the 5th round pick. So there's that. I said Baker. Wow. So so I like that, backing him up forward, and then we'll have to find out what Judkins deals. But Judkins falling to the 10th round, that's speaking a lot to the situation and the uncertainty of whatever his legal situation could be. Look, it could end up being the steal of the draft, right? We'll see what happens. He hasn't signed, but that doesn't mean much of anything. I'm not really worried about that. All right, coming into the middle of the 11th round, Isaac Guerendo off the board. All right, let's see what we got here. I have to set my queue up here a little bit to make sure I'm set for what I need to do. All right. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, we'll see how that works out. All right, Team 9 on the clock here. Team 9 has the wide receivers, Brian Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney, Brandon Ayuk. Running back room is now 4 deep: Bucky Irving, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyrone Tracy, Rashad White. And then Josh Allen, a quarterback, and David Njoku at tight end. Team 8 is on the clock here. I've taken Kyler Murray with their last pick. And it is Team 8 with 5 wide receivers, 3 running backs. Got that here. Yeah, Charlene asking the question, Pittman or Downs. Here, and since they were both drafted, I could talk about them. So what I'll say is this. I'm going to be on the clock here. So let me get this pick made here. All right, I want to check one thing first. Okay, so obviously my wide receiver room is a mess. So we're going to take some darts here. We're going to go with a little Christian Kirk here. He's over in Houston now, expected to be a slot receiver. I know they drafted Jalen Noel, but when Kirk's been healthy, he has been very productive. He could be a very serious part of the passing game. Look, I'm throwing darts here, right? We're in the 11th round trying to cobble together a wide receiver room after I went running back with some big darts here. So Charlene asked about Pittman or Downs. Here's what I'll say about this. both very good players, both very different players. Pittman is going to have his normal possession role, but they draft Tyler Warren. And so now my thing is they got sketchy quarterback play, whether it's Richardson, whether it's Daniel Jones. And the thing we're going to run into now is the possession targets. Are those going to get split by Pittman and Warren? I think so. But Josh Downs is their slot, and he runs typical slot routes. He runs vertical slot routes, but he's been quarterback proof in his 2 years in the league. 800 yards last year. He missed like 3 or 4 games, a little better than his rookie year. And he's really, in my mind, an emerging star. He plays 76 roughly percent of the snaps as the third receiver, and that really helps a lot. And so I'm excited about him being quarterback proof, and we'll see what happens with that. But I do tend to like Downs over Pittman because he has a role Downs does that's unique to the other receivers. So whereas, like I said, I think Pittman is going to cannibalize targets with Warren. This is going to be a low volume passing game. Remember Jonathan Taylor running 28 times a game in the last 5 weeks of the season. I think that's what they probably want to do, and we'll see how that shakes out. We had a little quarterback run here. After early in the round, Jared Goff went. We had Brock Purdy get paired up with Baker Mayfield for Team 4 to give them a nice little duo. And then Team 3 took their first quarterback, Drake May. And then J.J. McCarthy gets paired up with Patrick Mahomes, and then Ramondre Stevenson at the end. So as I mentioned, I thought we would see a little run on quarterbacks. And when I made that pick of Caleb Williams, my 2, I noticed that 2 had gone immediately, but had I waited any longer, I'd be 5 off the board. And like I said earlier, when you feel that you have a quarterback that you like a lot, but there could be issues, you have to do a backup there. I think that's a real important part of it. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to take a look at my draft board here. All right, take a quick look here. 1, 2, 3. Just counting things out here a little bit. Okay, so Jalen right off the board to go with Jahmyr Gibbs, J.K. Dobbins, and Travis Etienne. All right, let me take one more look. I'm up at 3 picks. I want to make sure I get my pick where I'd like it to be. And just got to check some bye weeks while I'm doing that here. And okay, I figured it out. And as we go, Team 4 is on the clock. Just took 2 quarterbacks in the last 3 picks. All right, and all right. And as we continue to see, Marvin Mims goes off the board here. The wide receivers, it's just been fast and furious. I have 5, and again, I don't have a number 1. You might even say I don't have a number 2 on my team. So I think we just have to keep going with the darts here, the way this draft board's falling. And yardage is terrible, but we're going to go with the 140 target guy from last year and just throw Wan'Dale Robinson in here just to, again, give me somebody viable if I have to, just in terms of having a PPR target player. This is the hey, and like I mentioned, you got to be pliable in the drafts, and that was the price for the 3 running backs. Uncle Ted got his wish. Jaden Blue goes off the board to Team 7, giving him a backfield of Barkley, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, and 1 Jaden Blue. So I'm loading up there. Now we have talking about teams of 2 quarterbacks, Team 2, Mahomes and McCarthy. And then we have Team 4, Mayfield and Purdy, myself, Prescott and Caleb Williams. And then we have Team 12, Fields and Goff. And Dylan Sampson goes off the board here. And so as we're looking through the tight end position, I'm noticing here that we just in the recent round, we had in the 10th and 11th, Warren, Jake Ferguson, and then a full round. Then Tucker Kraft went, and now we're another full round plus out on that. So that's what Charlene, the player you asked about, I won't talk about till that player is drafted, but it's a good question. Quentin Johnson goes to Team 9. Again, the wide receiver room beyond Brian Thomas, Jerry, Judy, Kelvin Ridley. Then it goes Mooney, Ayuk, and Quentin Johnston. And all right, so we got that. And we are coming near the 10th, 11, 12 turn area. Team 10 has 5 running backs, 4 receivers, and then a quarterback and a tight end. We'll see where the last 2 picks were running backs, and Team 11 actually went 3 straight running backs to give them 5. So we're seeing a real nice build. So some teams went a little heavier wide receiver earlier. Some people, well, not many people went running back heavy early. The only people went running back heavier, obviously, I was the crazy one that took 3 running backs. Team 4 took 2 running backs. But really, this has been a wide receiver heavy draft. This is definitely, every draft has a flavor of its own, and that is a very real thing. All right, let's see as we go through the draft here. We are coming into the end of Dalton Kincaid off the board to go with Brock Bowers as a 2 tight end duo. And team 12 goes with Tank Bigsby, and they'll have their turn pick. Bigsby is their 5th running back. You have Bigsby, Ray Davis, Zach Charbonnet to go with Kenneth Walker and Devon Achane. See how that works here. And let's see. I'm looking at my all right. Queue up a couple players here. All right. It's gonna be a moment to do a little bit more work with this. That one's gonna be off. I got to be cognizant of those bye weeks sometimes too, depending on the positions you're looking at. Sometimes they don't matter if you have a bunch of players, but yeah, so definitely that. All right, we're just gonna do that. Okay, that can go later. Okay, easy enough. Xavier Leggett goes there. So wide receiver room, team 12, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jacoby Myers, and then they were set with 5, and then just took care of the backup running backs and the quarterbacks, and then went with Xavier Leggett. Joshua Palmer to team 11. That's the 5th wide receiver for team 11. Team 11 had been on that 3 running back and tight end run. Back to team 10, who also took 3 running backs in their last 3 picks to give them 6 running backs and 4 wide receivers. All right. Kyle Williams off the board. Yeah, this has been a fun draft. People in this draft I really like the different roster constructions. People were understanding how player attrition by position was going off, and I think that was fantastic. Let me just do one more queue thing. I got a few picks. I'm up here. There's one more player I want to pop in the queue. Okay. I don't want to fall asleep on that. Okay. And Kareem Hunt, as I said, goes with Rashad White, Tyrone Tracy, Isaiah Pacheco, and Bucky Irving. And now team 8 is on. Now team 8, in the last 2 picks of Bashal Tootin and Dylan Sampson, get a little bit of rookie running back. Now, CJ Stroud's great here. CJ Stroud is a player who is, I think, last year, the league adjusted him. He had some bad coaching. I think he makes his adjustment back to the league this year. CJ Stroud is a wonderful quarterback, too, to have, especially at this point of the draft where you already had a number of quarterbacks off the board. So this is, I just think CJ Stroud is being undervalued. Recency bias. I think people are a little bit out on him for whatever reason. So, yeah, but that said, all right, I want to be up in a moment. We got 26 seconds for team 7 on the board here. Team 7 has Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Add Rico Dowdle. All right, I am adding somebody I'm trying to add in my running back room in almost every draft I can, and it is Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was never going to be healthy last year, coming off that serious knee injury in the week 2 of 2023. And Nick Chubb saying now he's back to squatting what he squatted. He said his speed and agility are back to pre-injury form. Well, guess what? Nick Chubb, 29. Joe Mixon, same backfield, 29. Joe Mixon, top of my head, 22nd percentile broken tackle rate. I think 19th percentile after contact. Joe Mixon is a compiler, and his end of the season was really slow. If Nick Chubb is anything close to what he was health-wise, exponentially better than Mixon, and I would assume that Chubb should have little problem pushing him to the side. People might view it otherwise, but it was not looking good late season for Mixon last year. And I had him on my fantasy team. He really helped me early, but late, yeah, it didn't really help me late so much. That was a bit of a problem. Austin Eckler, love that one off the board here. I don't know if I'm trying to see something in it. Don't know who's still in the house, but I know I always get roasted by Jamie about Roschon Johnson. Roschon Johnson goes here. Lauren's in the house. Let me see if I can get you into the room. Here we go. Yeah, we got Lauren jumping room. I have so much going on my screen, Lauren. Never really.
Hey, Jim. I know you are so a pro at this. It's amazing. Like, I can't even keep up. This is amazing.
Lauren, what are your comments on the draft so far? I know your husband Nate is drafting here.
He is. Well, other than how fast it's going, I have to say, Nate, he's drafted the same player in every draft so far, which hasn't been that many yet. But hey, Nate, you want to tell everyone who you drafted a million times already?
Oh man, I've been going through this over and over and over. Yeah, it was so funny because Who's on the clock? Oh, somebody's timing out here. It's team. Oh, they got him already. So yeah, Lauren. So I went in and I really wanted to have at least one draft where I took my lottery ticket on McCaffrey. I just wanted to have a share because the 4 years is healthy. It's either the running back 1 or the running back 2 overall. I want in a tournament. I want that ticket. If it's a regular 12-team league, I don't want to deal with risk. But then the second round, the receivers were going well, and at that point, I'm like, well, let me take the safe Josh Jacobs with McCaffrey. And then the third round reversal comes. And again, I didn't like any wide receivers at that point on the board. And Breece Hall, I found out he said he had an MCL last year. It's why he played bad. And I'm like, well, we were drafting him as the running back 1 or 2. So I went there. And then I paid the price, Lauren. I paid a hard price for 3 running backs. And there were no.
In your voice, the moment you took number 3, I was like, oh, I can already just tell how he's feeling. But Nate, it's a different running back for him. But Bucky Irving, that's his number 1 so far. He said,
yeah, I'm big Bucky fan.
Every single draft so far, I ended up with him. And he told me that yesterday. So the fact that I looked at the draft board and saw that under his team, I said, this is really good or really bad for you. We'll see.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm on the clock here, and
Come on, Jim. Don't let us distract you.
No, you're not at all. I just had to start determine. I definitely need to make sure I have a second tight end. I have Kittle, and he's been healthy lately, but I got to get myself a second one here. So you know what? I know the location isn't great for him, but I do like the fact that Jonnu Smith is at least going to get some targets. Freiermuth's there too, but I'm going to take him my second tight end. I think at this point in the draft, 14th round, we got players like Pitts, Likely, Loveland off the board. Not an upside pick, but it's fine. Nate, you're going to be coming up on the clock here. I don't want to, obviously you're not going to tell anybody what you're doing, but I want to tell you tell about your roster to this point. What's been your build idea, and has it worked out the way you wanted?
Yeah, basically, the way I kind of looked at it was with my running backs. I took Bucky and Pacheco, and there's kind of like the longevity sort of question with them. Can they make it through the season? They're kind of in a 1A, 1B situation. So in the later rounds, I went and took Kareem Hunt and Rashad White to kind of cover my bases there. So if either one of them goes down, I can kind of, because the roster's so big, I figured, I can take that kind of hit later in the draft to cover myself.
I think that's a great strategy.
But yeah, and then just with the receivers, I don't know. I mean, I'm a Browns fan, so I went with Judy and Njoku. I know, kind of doubling up tight end and receiver on the same team, but I just feel like that passing volume will be there.
Well, with 5 quarterbacks, how could it not be?
Yeah, exactly. They're all playing the same game, and fresh arms every other play. So
love that. You went with Justin Herbert. It's smart to take that backup quarterback and get yourself a good one, because you do have Josh Allen, and you waited the right amount of time because you did a heavy investment. But again, you notice in these leagues, people take 2 quarterbacks, and the last thing you want in a tournament league is if for some reason your quarterback misses time, you don't want to be without a fallback option. It's just not even possible in these leagues. So you did well with Justin Herbert. What are your thoughts on Justin Herbert?
I actually really like Justin Herbert. In some of my other leagues, he's been like my primary quarterback. I mean, he's super talented. And I'm a big McConkey fan as well. So it's nice that he kind of has that Keenan Allen fill in, and hoping, they can get the targets up for McConkey. And I don't know. I really like the Chargers. So
I'll tell you what about the Chargers. Last year, especially the first a little more than half of the season, we saw that they ran the ball, tried to run. They ran too much and they couldn't run. And we saw Herbert's attempts go down. But then we saw when J.K. Dobbins got hurt, we saw all of a sudden that the passing went up. But the benefit that people aren't thinking about for Herbert this year is that last year, the Chargers had a ridiculously easy schedule, and their defense looked like it was really good. But whenever they played a good quarterback, they got shredded, and they had to throw. Well, this year, the schedule is difficult again. So they're going to want to run, and they do have running backs. But I think they're still going to get painted in a corner where they're going to have to throw the football, because that defense, it is a little short on talent. Yes, they have some good players, but they were torched when they played a good team last year. We just had Hunter Henry and Brenton Strange go off the board at the 13-14 turn. Hunter Henry as a tight end 1 this late in the draft is outstanding. And actually, I would have thought about taking Hunter Henry my last week, but he had the same bye week as George Kittle. So that's why I went with Jonnu Smith. But Hunter Henry, from maybe week 10 or 11 on, he was like 50-yard average per game. He was getting regular targets. Obviously, there weren't many touchdowns because the Patriots weren't scoring many touchdowns. But Hunter Henry, and then taking a shot on Brenton Strange makes a lot of sense as well. All right, let me see here. I'm going to be up in a couple. Nate, you're up on the board. You just took Demario Douglas.
Yeah. Talking about the Patriots, had to go with it.
That gives you a real nice high floor option. I still am wondering with Stephon Diggs coming off an ACL, what we're really going to get out of him. That's interesting to me.
I mean, it's one thing to be coming off the ACL, but kind of late in the career like that, I don't know.
He's a special guy, though. You got to admit, he's got something there. So,
100%, lots of talent. I just,
Hey, Jim, I got to ask you about Jonnu Smith, though. I mean, what do you think he's really going to do this year on that offense and with Freiermuth there? I mean, do you really think he's going to put anything together?
Now, remember, I used a 14th round pick on him. I said, somebody rolled back a pick.
Well, I was just talking about that the other day. I said Jonnu Smith and all, like Scott Fishbowl and all the other drafts I've done so far, even best ball ones, like his name is just lingering for so long. It's like, obviously his ADP is higher than it probably should be, and within a few weeks it's going to drop. But right now it's like, whoa, that's just a weird thing to think about.
What I think people aren't thinking about Jonnu Smith is there's a history lesson here. So they have Pat Freiermuth, and everybody's freaked out that they have 2 tight ends. But this was 2 years ago. Let me make my pick here. All right. So as I mentioned, my wide receiver room is a borderline disaster. I have to take dart after dart. This player I'm going to take would not be taken before the 19th round usually, but the way receivers are jumping off the board, I'm going to take this player. And the player I'm going to take is De'Ami Brown. Now, De'Ami Brown's in Jacksonville, being that Liam Cohen offense, and I know they have 2 big-time receivers ahead of him. But again, Brown will be the slot receiver most likely there. And the camp reports are already coming out that he's like a safety blanket. And what that means is, PPR. So with my team build, leaning on running back so heavily, I am going to need high floor out of my receiver. So I'm piling up guys like Christian Kirk, Wan'Dale Robinson's backups. These guys are potential target guys because that's what I have to do at this point. I took that shot on Jalen Waddle, the 111 vacated targets from Jonnu Smith, hoping some go that way. So it's a hope and a prayer room. But if you got to throw enough darts, I need 2 or 3 to reasonably do something to get value out of it. So it's a dart throw contest at this point. But this is probably the weakest wide receiver room I have ever had in what? I've been drafting since 94. Yeah, this is the weakest wide receiver room.
Well, Jim, I have to say, when we were in Vegas, I think like 4 years ago, I forgot the exact one, but I remember looking at your laptop because none of us had Wi-Fi, and you had all of your tiers set up, already downloaded in like Excel, I think it was. And everyone in the whole draft was like using it. And poor Jim was literally just like, yeah, here's my top picks I want to take in this next round. And like everyone's just taking them from you. And I just like, I learned so much in that draft because I really saw how you organized the players. And I chatted with UI during the whole thing. And it was just like, I think that was like the part of my career where I really took the next step. So thank you for that.
That makes me happy to hear that.
Last year, I don't know.
It's funny because it's my job to try to help people with fantasy football.
Right.
Poor people are looking at my roster today. They're looking at my roster today and saying, we ain't helping nobody because look at that wide receiver room. But it's a tournament build. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And sometimes you just live with the volatility. I'll have a number of entries in this tournament. My first team has good ceiling and a lot more safety. But I think you don't want the same team. You're taking tickets in a lottery here. So
well, unless it's the best team ever, then what are the odds of that?
Right. I mean, this is the volatility team, so it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a good time with this.
I always do that too. Like I started to play around almost too much at some point. I'm like, all right, like just because this is like your 5th draft doesn't mean you need to like just randomly pick someone you've never heard of or something stupid. Like, you know what I mean? But
anyway. I mean, personally, I like kind of volatility from receivers and then, have a solid base of running backs and then kind of live on the upside of, hoping you pick that right receiver.
You're right, Nate. There is something to be said for that. No, I like that comment. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And Jim,
Zach
I liked
Ertz.
what you said in the beginning of the draft at the turn. You said receiver, running back for 2 teams in a row right there at the turn. And that's my favorite thing to do if I can, if it's the right situation, because I just feel so much more comfortable after you get one of each to start the draft. I know you can't relate to that during this one, but it is a nice feeling to be like, oh, I don't have to like worry about getting one or the other. Like they're both here, and now I can kind of just like see what comes next. So
Exactly. All right. I'm on the clock here. And actually, it's a defense and who cares? But I do, if the defense are
I care.
going,
What do you think, Jim? Who are you taking this year?
I really like the Houston Texans. They
Ooh,
have
I'm really,
high-end pass rush. They have very good cornerback play. They have another year of D'Amico Ryans, a very aggressive scheme. They were really piecing it together last year, and they play in the AFC South, so you got to love that. You get some games against Trevor Lawrence. I know people are going to hate me for saying that. Anthony Richardson, and even the rookie Cam Ward. So that's like, and I know the bye week 6, I'll just stream that week. But I think the Texans are going to be a fun team defensively. And
both ways.
yeah. And they go off the board as the 6th defense, a little bit of a run. We have 3 rounds left in this draft, and we're about an hour in. This is very nice pace. I just can't admire enough how aggressive this league has been with the wide receivers. Cedric Tillman in the 12th round was a steal. I was actually hoping, and like I said, there's no such thing as me getting sniped because I have a range of players I'm happy with. But there was one I would have liked, my weak receiver room. I was really hoping Tillman would make it a few more picks. So it ends up being my fault because I probably should have gone in the 11th. I played chicken there as well. There was Kirk and there was Tillman. And the probability in my mind was that I would have a better chance of getting both going that route. But again, you play chicken and guess what happens? Doesn't always go.
You're a Bears fan, right, Jim?
No, they're all 1 of 32 to me. I have no rooting interest.
But like if you had to pick, or you could never play fantasy again, who would you pick?
In terms of, I'm sorry.
A favorite team, NFL.
Oh, a favorite team? Probably the 49ers over time. I was big Jerry Rice guy. I love Jerry Rice.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I've been a football fan since I was like in diapers back in 1970 or around then. But yeah, it was. There were teams I love. I love the Raiders when they were like a bunch of like crazy guys like taking everybody out. I love them. They were like the ultimate badasses back in the day. I love that. It was a phase of that, and then went through a phase with the Cowboys. And then
I know I heard your Dak Prescott's your guy. Did I hear you say that earlier, Jim? Come on,
Lauren. Dak. So it's interesting with Dak, right? Because Dak has had 3 years in the last 5 or 6 where he's missed more than half the season. But I don't think he's injury prone. It was a dislocated thumb, a dislocated ankle, and a hamstring. They were just so different. I mean, they were freak injuries. It was weird. But in the 3 years Dak has played, he's been the quarterback 2, the quarterback 3. And the quarterback 7. So he is an elite level passer. And then you're going to tell me, oh my goodness, you're going to bring in George Pickens to go with CeeDee Lamb and to go with Jake Ferguson. And that running game is not going to be able to do much. That's not a sustaining running attack. And their defense is probably going to be bad. So I'm actually pretty excited about Dak. What happened?
But yeah, I know. I mean, actually, Dak has been pretty solid as a fantasy quarterback over the years, give or take. But I mean, especially if you can get him, right? I mean, that's the best part. There's the value.
Yeah. And that's why I took Caleb Williams to back him up, because if something happens and Dak doesn't make it through the year, then at least, because again, in this tournament, you can't leave yourself high and dry at quarterback. You have to have somebody. You can't trust the waiver wire to be your savior, because it won't be.
Jim, tell everyone like a stat or two that you really, really love to follow to help you do better with fantasy. Because I know you've told me a bunch over the years, and right now Jim's doing a stat of the day on social media. Just for some reference, everyone, I manage social media for Rotowire, so I'm constantly bugging Jim about doing stuff, as he knows. But Jim does great with it, as I'm sure you all know. I'm sure you all follow him, and if not, you should. But yeah, Jim, tell us some stats that you really love that helps elevate your game.
Really for me, for running backs, that broken tackle rate in yards after contact, those eliminate a lot of the external stuff like offensive line, So to me, it's really important to follow those stats. It teaches me a lot. It tells me like when it comes in a running backs in decline, and sometimes like Alvin Kamara's had trash like yards after contact and broken tackle the last couple of years. But again, volume's king in fantasy football. So you have to weigh that out as well. So I think that's always an interesting piece of it. But those stats are really important to me. For the receiver, though, it's interesting. And this is the thing that I if you're going to just look at yards after the catch, be careful. Because the thing you got to weigh it out with, if you're a downfield receiver, if your average depth of targets, I got to make a pick here. All right. So again, my wide receiver room is the worst on the planet. And so I'm going to just hope this guy signs with a team and hopefully it happens in the next 24 hours. So you like get some training camp. So I'm going to grab Amari Cooper because look, before he got traded last year and injured his, I believe, wrist or thumb, he actually was producing in Cleveland. So I think it was just he got traded mid-season, got hurt. So again, I'm not banking my season on Amari Cooper. Understand that.
What?
I think it was a morale thing, honestly. He's a great receiver.
Yeah, I think so. So again, this is a 17th round pick, and I'm desperate for receiver help. So if it works out, it works out.
Steve, hello, Steve. I know you a little bit. Dak is the king of garbage time stats. Yeah, Steve. Great for fantasy football, but not great for life. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, wow. That's interesting because, all right, those that follow me, you kind of know I'm kind of scouting mindset. Dak Prescott, it's unfortunate he was with Dallas in a lot of ways, but he is like a robot in the pocket. I mean, it's in the best possible way. Dak is amazing at reading defenses, at going through his progressions, understanding route concepts. Dak Prescott is, in my mind, an outstanding NFL quarterback. Again, he's had some unfortunate injuries, but that said, Dak Prescott, I think if you polled NFL GMs and it wasn't about the injuries, I think Dak Prescott would probably be seen as a top 7 quarterback. I don't know if he goes higher than that. As a passer alone, obviously he blows past Jalen Hurts, players like that. But it's probably around quarterback 7. But we play in a fantasy football world, and so for that, yeah, Dak has feasted on garbage time. What do you guys think about Dak?
Well, I'm an Eagles fan, Jim. I'm not sure if you remember that. So
I do now.
As a human, I'm sure he's fine, but like in sports, I hate him. I've had him in fantasy, and actually he got hurt the year I had him and burned me. So even worse, right? I mean, I just can't go back there. But the late round value is hard to beat, honestly.
He's a great fantasy quarterback. He scores a lot of points.
Definitely does. So Team 7, this is a Lauren jump special. Team 7, Saquon Barkley, round 1. AJ Brown, round 2. Jalen Hurts, round 3. Devontae Smith, round 5. You got 4 Eagles in 5 rounds. And Lauren is.
I mean, obviously that's an amazing team. Like in real life, for fantasy, I'd be a little skeptical on that. You're gonna have a tough 5 week for sure. But if they're bad and they're playing like they did a couple years ago, or they just didn't click in some games. I mean, I love the Eagles. We got to be honest. We got some attitude problems here and there. So if that happens again, I don't know. Could be a risk. But I'm surprised you didn't get Goddard too so late. Goddard's really late this year.
Right. What were you thinking, Team 7? You missed out on Dallas Goddard.
Yeah, you could have just. I mean, there's got to be a cap, right? How many players do you have from the same team?
Oh my gosh. All right. So this is a player I am targeting late in almost every draft this year. Keaton Mitchell. People are in on Justice Hill, and I get it that John Harbaugh loves him. Look, Keaton Mitchell had a pretty significant knee injury in December of 2023. But and look, he's never getting that 8 yards per carry again. Like I said about Achane last year, he's never going to get that 7.6 or whatever. But that said, Keaton Mitchell is back to full health per John Harbaugh and per Mitchell. And Keaton Mitchell was getting 8 to 10 touches a game, and he was so dynamically explosive. And as the change up, as I see it, the potential change up to Derrick Henry. And again, I know they love Justice Hill, but I don't know if they can keep Keaton Mitchell off field. Remember, Derrick Henry only plays about 52% of the snaps. So there are snaps for another running back, and the defense playing at the Henry physicality. And then you have that change up of Keaton Mitchell. To me, potentially lethal.
Actually, I think the first fantasy article I read this year, Jim, was yours about Derrick Henry and how you like him. You don't care. You're taking him early. As early as possible.
Big dog.
What's the earliest you would take him, like, in round 1? Would you take him,
You
like,
know,
4, 5, 6, or no?
the fact that he caught 18 passes, it's just that's the problem. I mean, he can get 2,000 yards and he could get 18 touchdowns. It's a tightrope, right? When you're not catching passes. So normally I would take Henry only if I'm near the turn and in that 1-2 turn. I would take him there. I just think there's more variables than I need if you don't really catch the football, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. Tell me a player you will absolutely not draft no matter what this year.
Who am I not drafting this year? Let me look at the board here, and I will tell you that I'm in such a
And
draft.
call out that person's team by name.
Oh, Tyreek Hill. I'm out on Tyreek Hill. Last year, everybody wants to blame the wrist injury, and I understand the wrist injury was a thing. But I will also say this. He was 38th percentile yards after the catch, and Tyreek Hill's normally in the 90th percentile of that. And so I think, he may have just lost a nanosecond off that incredible world-class speed, but also defenses have really learned what to do with Tua Tagovailoa. He can't drive the ball to the perimeter. He underthrows deep passes. So defense just kind of pack in that short intermediate area, and that also made it tough for Hill to run after the catch because there are just so many bodies there. So that was another thing. So I think his quarterback limits him, and now he's getting old, and he's not happy. Tyreek Hill has said, and 3 times that I know.
I think he was checked out for sure.
Yeah. So it's really like, how many negative signs do we need before we say, yeah, maybe I'm out here?
Throw you out on Tua too then?
Let me say this question. Scott has a question. What's the earliest I would think about taking a quarterback and then drafting? All right. So basically, 7th round is usually where I'll look for a quarterback in tournaments. This draft, it went a certain way, and I was able to wait till the 8th. You got to read the draft room, right? And this is one of those that commonly in the NFFC drafts, normally if I don't take that quarterback in the mid 7th, there's a run between the next pick, and I don't get any of the ones I want. But I read the board, and I saw the teams that had quarterbacks behind me. And this is what I talk about pliability in a draft. You have to it's like chess. You've got to look 2-3 moves ahead, and you've got to read the board out, and you're taking risks like me with the 3 running backs. Yeah. Again, I kind of didn't do so great with that one, but yeah, you still have to try to read ahead. So yes, Scott, 7th round is where I target my quarterback. But again, like this, you read the board and you make the decision on the fly. Nate, you took Ben Sinnott with your last pick. I like that one. Let me get my pick. So again, I'm in this wide receiver Hades here. So the player I'm taking, Darius Slayton. Interesting. He has 4 seasons of over 700 yards. Again, not earth-shattering, but think of the quarterback play they've had in New York, mostly Daniel Jones, right? Well, Russell Wilson may not be very good. He may be washed. Warren Sharp pointed out that last year, when Russell Wilson was not pressured, he was really good. Now, will he be pressured in New York? The offensive line's not great, maybe. But Darius Slayton would be the recipient of those moon balls. And because the defense has got to focus on Malik Neighbors. So, again, it'd be better if it's best ball. This is not best ball. But Darius Slayton could be a piece of a puzzle, injuries, bye weeks, things like that, where he could have some value here. Brian Upton's in the house here, I see. Brian, let's see here. Jim and 1 CMC. Yeah. So Brian, I explained when I took that pick, this is a tournament and I have multiple entries I'm playing in this tournament. I was saying I wanted to have one league where I wanted to make sure I got McCaffrey. I wanted to take one flyer because in 2 of the last 3 seasons, McCaffrey has played every game. Last year was a training injury. It wasn't a football injury. So I feel those prior 2 years, he was completely healthy. And in the 4 years that McCaffrey has been healthy, he's been the overall running back 1 or the overall running back 2. In San Francisco, per Warren Sharp, the 49ers have the easiest schedule in the league. And this is a team that could actually, even though they've lost defensive talent, the schedule's so easy, they're going to play with leads most weeks. And we know that Kyle Shanahan, don't forget how specifically Christian McCaffrey was weaponized under Kyle Shanahan, and that's not going away. Especially they've got Jennings isn't happy, and we already know we got Ayuk coming back from an injury, and Ricky Pearsall's dinged up. He should be okay, but this keeps pointing to McCaffrey. Now, if this was a single league where I'm playing against 12 people, Barkley's my pick every time because there's a lot more safety here. But in a tournament, I want that one ticket because, again, your goal is you're trying to take down thousands of teams. You're not just taking down 11. So that's the rationale. It's a great question. Lauren or Nate, what do you think about that concept of taking a ticket on?
Well, I mean, and you took Kittle too, right? Is that what you said? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And I love that because you're exactly right. I mean, Kittle and McCaffrey have a great chance to do more. And guess what? McCaffrey just had his first baby. So that's extra motivation. Come on. You got to have a little bit of color in the decision sometimes, but hopefully he is a little more motivated. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I like McCaffrey a lot. It'd be nice to get him in the second round like someone else.
Yeah, Jim, we missed you at the draft we did in Madison, but yeah, I was picked 9 and I got Puka Nacua 1 and Christian McCaffrey 2, and that was awesome. I was very excited.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, McCaffrey. There's a lot of drafts where you go second round. I'm finding in big tournaments like this, somebody takes the shot on him later first round. Somebody wants a shot because again, it's that.
I was hoping to get him.
Yes. But Nate, you're exactly correct. It's the tournament logic, right? I want to win this thing. You know what I mean? It's like Ricky Bobby. If you're not first, you're last, right?
Yeah, 100%. You kind of want to lean more towards the upside here. Like generally in the first round, I want to like basically go for stability, and then as the draft goes on, you move up in volatility. But yeah, here it's kind of just all of an upside play.
Right. Now, I want to make this is a dumb comment, but I'm going to share it. Kicker, last round, I took Washington. 2 reasons. First of all, week 12 bye. You're going to.
Yeah, I was about to take the Niners. I got
yes. And the Niners are week 14. So you're going to dump the kicker anyway. So at least get as many weeks as you can before you have to do that. And your roster may be thinned out anyway by that point. But yeah, and especially if you take a kicker you think is a decent one, you don't want to have to drop that kicker in week 5 with the bye. So, and remember the Commanders last year before they had all the injuries, they had the number 1 kicker. The kicker was no good. I can't even think of his name right now, but he wasn't good, but he had so many opportunities. And I imagine the Commanders are going to continue to put points up here. We are closing this thing out. Let's do a quick recap of all these teams here. And let's just do a little overview before we get out of here. You guys got a few minutes to stay?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's go back through this one. Team 1, we started out with Jamar Chase and paired him with Joe Burrow. And overall, the receiving room, Chase, McLaurin, Godwin, Diggs, Tillman, and Shaheed. The running back room, Connor, Pollard, O'Kyren Williams, Benson, Stevenson, and then we'll stop there. Andrews at tight end. I thought this was a very well-crafted team. The running back room, getting Connor and Pollard as the running back 2 and 3 in rounds 5 and 7, thought that was a strong foundation. The receiver room pieced together nicely. Any thoughts on team 1?
Running or tight ends can be a little rough, but otherwise it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I love McLaurin in the third. Big upside there if it works out. The Commanders' offense is pretty explosive, so.
Team 2 definitely got that wide receiver heavy build. Justin Jefferson. And remember, we know Chase had a career year last year, and maybe he could do it again. But Justin Jefferson's floor is like 1,530 yards. Like there's nobody with that. And then Smith and Jigba. If Cooper Kupp is toast, does Smith and Jigba see 160 targets? And then Devontae Adams, clearly with Puka Nacua, but they'll both be involved. And then you go on with the running back duo of James Cook, Travion Henderson, with Mahomes as the quarterback and Kelsey paired up as a tight end. Yeah, any thoughts on that start?
Yeah, 2 sacks in a row for first 2 teams. I mean, could work out.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know. The risk with McCarthy, you never know.
But then we got Likely here. So Mark Andrews on team 1 is not doing it. We got Likely in there ready to go. So this could be good.
Jefferson has shown his ability to kind of succeed regardless of really who's his quarterback.
True. And he has a good attitude for the most part. So we'll see.
100%. Team 3 started with Gibbs, hero running back, and then waited till the 7th to address it. That's a great hero running back approach.
He's the sweetheart of the year, honestly. Gibbs.
And then listen to the backup run at receiver team 3. McConkey, Higgins, DJ Moore, George Pickens, and then the 5th receiver, Rice, knowing that if he misses time, doesn't need him not even as a flex until later. What were your thoughts on that all-out assault on wide receivers?
Well, it definitely hurt you a little bit, Jim.
Oh, it did. It did.
Yeah, I think that could be solid. I mean, and Debo right down there too. I mean, Debo might not be great, but for that late, I think this could work.
Yeah, I love McConkey.
Especially after going with Gibbs to start. That's great. Yeah.
I think what Team 3 was also really smart with was after they took Debo in the 8th round and they had 6 quality receivers, they didn't waste another pick on a wide receiver dart.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. It would be a wasted pick. And I think that understanding of draft theory was great. On the converse of that, after Gibbs, now they compile a room together. Etienne, Dobbins, Jalen Wright, a backup, Shipley, a backup, Rashard Smith, a backup, Taj Brooks, a backup, hoping that one of them or more end up in a more prominent role. I think that's a fantastic way to go hero running back and get a collection of players that could be bigger than, we had thought. Anything on Team 3 from either of you?
No, I mean, they must have been using our mock draft simulator. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The Rotowire mock draft simulator, it's really cool. We reimagined everything there. And what I like about it, the recommendations that the Rotowire mock draft tool gives you in draft, it will tell you when your recommended players, it'll tell you that you already have 2 other players on a bye with that same player. It'll tell you which players. It gives you the real short, concise pieces of information from Rotowire as you go to draft. You can use it as a draft assistant as well. It is really cutting edge stuff. And if you want to get a look at that, you got to get a subscription to Rotowire. You can get you 15% off. You go to Rotowire, pick your subscription. You use the code YouTube15 at checkout. And it is really worth checking out because Rotowire has really ramped things up. Lauren, why don't you talk about some of the offerings at Rotowire before I get to a few more teams here?
Yeah, no, actually, the Draft Kit app is so amazing this year. It's changed a little bit with the pricing model, but you get so much. And honestly, the stats are, if you like stats and if you like fantasy, there's no way you're not going to like it. I cannot stop doing the mock drafts. I'm not just saying that. It's really just so fun. And they have all the stats in the summary for each player's page as you're going through the drafts, which is just really, really cool. Another thing everyone needs to know about, this is going to be really fun. We're doing this for the first time, but we're going to run a survivor pool. Big survivor contest with Splash Sports. We're not going to launch it until August 1st, but it's coming soon. So get ready. We're having a $5,000 first place prize. So there's some money on the line here, a trophy smack ring. It's going to be really, really cool. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, it'll be all over social very, very soon.
Oh, it's very exciting. We're going to quickly go through the rest of these teams that people are watching and their team may be in there. Maybe they would like to hear that. So let's go to Team 4 quickly. Team 4 started out with a real nice 2 running back build. Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. It was the only team that took 2 running backs only in the first 2 picks. I went with 3, but it's the only team that went with 2 otherwise. And then came back with Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Jamison Williams, and then kept rotating. So through the first 8 rounds, ended up with 4 receivers and 4 running backs before pounding quarterback and tight end. What do you think about the idea of going with 8 solid picks on running back, receiver before focusing on the onesie positions?
I mean, great quarterbacks.
I really like this team. They got 2 great running backs, filled it in with 3, big upside receivers. Evans, a big consistent one. Williams has a lot of upside this year. And then they came back with 2 really strong, consistent sort of quarterbacks, so they can kind of play the matchups between those 2.
Not to mention another stack. We have another stack, guys.
Yes. Team 5 went CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, 1 and 2, then came back with quarterback Lamar.
Oh, no, it's not yours, Jim. Yours.
No, we'll make fun of mine in a minute. So we had CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, then we came quarterback Lamar Jackson, and then in the 5th round, tight end Sam Laporta, and then we sandwiched that with Chuba Hubbard and DK Metcalf before going to receivers Pearsall, Ibuka, and Higgins. Now, Team 5 loved their build. I always don't like taking a quarterback and a tight end early because I feel it hurts the overall build. I felt like it hurts running back depth. It really hurts the quality of wide receiver depth. I should talk about the worst wide receivers in the world. What do you both think about taking both a quarterback and a tight end early in drafts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Jim.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
It kind of can hinder the rest of the draft. But I mean, obviously, if you are successful in picking the upside later, then it's all going to work out. But it's a risky, strategy.
For sure.
So you guys can make fun of my team now. I wanted the lottery ticket, McCaffrey. That was my call in the tournament. I wanted that. Ended up with Josh Jacobs.
I love Josh Jacobs. And Breece Hall, half of Rotowire loves him too. Especially someone.
So
and Kittle,
obviously
great.
my receiver room. How horrible is that receiver room?
I mean, like, I don't know. Waddle
Just
could be good.
awful.
He was good before at one time. Roma didn't. I mean, I don't know.
And look, nobody has to make me feel good. I know exactly what I have going on here, so I am very aware of that.
Week, Jim?
Say that again.
Are there trades?
No trades.
And is it
there's waiver wire. There's fab and waiver wire, and that's an important part of it too. So believe you me, if any running or wide receivers come on the board that are in free agency and they look good, guess who's going to be spending some money on those?
You didn't hear
this guy right here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the upside with Christian Kirk. I think that pick could actually, work out pretty well. Waddle always, there's always good upside with him. So
you got the Houston Texans. So what else do you need?
That's the whole thing. I think the last thing I'll say, and this is not any praise or indictment on my team. I talk about it's almost like a zero or a hero running back approach. You've got to take darts, but you've got to calculate the darts. Like again, I said with Waddle, Jonnu Smith's gone. And if Tyreek Hill's not happy, could Waddle walk into 150 targets? Probably not, but he could. Rome Odunze, top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Could it get figured out? Maybe. Downs, 800 yards in 13 games last year. They're darts. They're calculated darts. It's probably not going to work out, but that's what you do. So it's like I said, it's like the zero.
Solid reverse jinx, Jim. I like it.
I'm very superstitious.
Well, I'll never say I had a good draft. I will never say I killed it. That'll never happen. But this one was not.
Win the league, and then you can say that maybe.
Yeah. All right. So then Team 7. This was the Eagles team. So I just very simply Barkley, Brown, Hurts, and Devontae Smith in the first 5 rounds. Can this work?
I mean, he's going to have some big weeks, honestly. I would guess there's going to be some big points and also some lows, especially on bye week. But aside from that, could be really good. Aaron Jones, I like. I mean, decent, for a while. Evan Ingram, I don't know. A lot of people aren't into him this year. Could he be good? Maybe. Rico Dotto's not a bad pick at that point. I like McMillan. Weird to see Adam Thielen so late at this point in life.
Right.
Yeah, but
he's closer to Social Security than he was a relevant pick in his draft.
It's just funny. Some people just drop lower and lower every year. But I don't know, Jim. What do you think?
So you brought up Evan Ingram, and he's going to be. I mean, obviously his draft cost is pretty fixed at tight end 7. Most draft, that's where he goes. And I think the whole case for Ingram, it's going to be fun because we know Sean Payton, when he brought him in, he talked about using him in the Joker role. And Sean Payton invented the Joker role. Taysom Hill was the last person in it, but there were running backs in that role. Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles. But the whole point, they're all different players. But the point is, if Sean Payton has a player that he believes he can move around the formation and create mismatches, he's all about that. And Evan Ingram is super fast for a tight end. So in theory, that works. My question, the flip side of that is this. That defense was really good. And they added Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, they first-round draft pick corners at Barron. That defense could be lights out. And then they couldn't run last year. The running game was horrific. Well, they bring in R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, they have a great line. To me, that tells me they want to run the ball and play defense. And if they get that, you've already got Cortland Sutton. Marvin Mims was a master at the bubble screen and deep pass. So the question is, will there be targets for Ingram? That's both sides of it. Where do you both stand on Ingram? Which side of it is it? Is he the weapon?
I mean, I like Ingram and his on the Jags. I don't know. I feel like the past couple of years, the Broncos haven't really had a solid tight end. So I just feel like kind of getting into that role on the Broncos. I don't know. It's a risky pick, but for where he got him, the upside there and it's worth it 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
nail on the head with that, Nate, is the middle of the 8th or 9th round, middle of the 9th round. So that really hedges much of any risk.
Yeah.
And taking Mike Gesicki late, look, Gesicki was used very inconsistently last year. They really don't have a number 3 receiver in my mind. Yoshibas, fine, whatever. But they could figure out and make Gesicki more of just a slot receiver. And so as a second, that's kind of a nice hedge. Quick comment from Scott Kobe. Scott said, we all say no running back build. I went with a no wide receiver theory to start the draft. If I win this league, it goes to show that the running back revolution is back and fantasy has shifted back to the running backs.
Love that. I love that.
I do need to comment on that. I'm still waiting for the publishers at Rotowire to drop this article, but all right, the base running backs weren't hurt last year, right? Like nobody got hurt for the most part. Why?
Jinxing it, Jim. You're jinxing it.
But see, that's the thing. I don't like the voodoo world, right? And I wasn't going to buy Anomaly. So I watch all these games. So I go back into my like mental framework. Wait a minute. Teams only had 2 linebackers on the field most of the time last year. It wasn't 3 anymore. So it was 1 less run defender, 1 less thumper because they wanted to defend the pass. So the base defense in the NFL is called the 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. That's the base defense. So now there's 1 less guy to hit the running backs. But here's the other thing. I researched the average weight of the linebacker position. It has gone exponentially down. They're down to 230 pounds. So these are pass defenders hitting running backs. These aren't big hits. But here's the other thing. If you only have 6 run defenders on the field, you got 5 offensive linemen and a tight end. You could get a hat on every one of them. My theory is that running backs, yeah, you're going to sprain an ankle. Yeah, you're going to twist a knee. I think the wearing down of the running backs is not going to be the same. I think the random injuries are going to go way down. I think this is the beginning of a trend. And we saw NFL teams last year. They started to run the ball more because the defenses are basically giving them the run by putting 2 linebackers out. Crazy. What are your thoughts on this?
It's really smart. What about running back committees? I mean, you think they're going to like switch them up, like play by play as much as they have been lately, have some for the line, some doing play by play?
Well, we saw some ridiculous workloads. Bijan Robinson down the stretch, 22.8 carries per game. Saquon Barkley before the playoffs had like 380 touches. He had another 100 in the playoffs. So not every running back is getting that workload. But we saw Jonathan Taylor average 28 carries in the last 5 games. So the teams that have a running back that can do that, we may see more because I think the coaches are starting to figure out these running backs aren't taking the beating they used to take. So maybe everybody's out on Barkley because of this curse of 375. But those are the days when you had thumpers hitting you and there were a bunch of them on the field. So we will see how that all shakes out. Let's just dust through these last few. I want to make sure everybody gets talked about here. We talked about 7 with the Eagles. Team 8. This was 3 receivers in the first 4 picks. Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton. Went with Trey McBride early. And then I thought coming back, at least if you're going to wait till the 5th, 6th to get running backs, I thought Hampton and Swift were a good floor duo. Now, behind them, Javonte Williams, we'll see what works out. That he is in line probably to get work. Bashal Tootin, Dylan Sampson. Overall, quarterback Kyler Murray and CJ Stroud, picking them late, probably a good duo. Tight end, you got McBride. Thoughts on that roster?
I wouldn't pick it to win, but I don't hate it that much. Yeah, quarterbacks are good.
Yeah, I think that for where Team 8 picked them, I think it was a smart investment. And then Nate picked 9th, and I really like the 3 receivers you took early, and Brian Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, and Calvin Ridley. And Jeudy was around 1,200 yards, but he was getting over 10 targets a game in the second half of the season. And I know he has some drop issues. But that's not changing. It was bad quarterback play. Yeah. And he already did it with bad quarterback play. That can't get worse. I don't see Jerry Jeudy's undervalued. And so is Calvin Ridley. 2 straight 1,000 yards.
I was really happy with Ridley where I got him. I like him a lot.
And I think you had to take him there because Ridley's ADP a month and a half ago was wide receiver 41. He is up almost 9 spots in the ADP. People are learning about him. I've done videos and talking about him. Other people certainly have as well. What's that?
Educate the people.
Got it. Yeah. So yes. So Ridley has 1,000 yards in last 2 seasons. Last year with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph, he had 1,000 yards. The year before, Trevor Lawrence, look at all the mistakes he made, and Ridley still got there. And that was bad coaching. This year now, there is no number 2 receiver. Who, Alec Iomanora, maybe? It's going to be problematic. So Ridley's going to see more targets, and he was actually ramped up in the second half of last year. And now he gets Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward may not be Superman, but I don't think he's Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. I think the floor on Ridley's incredible. And I think you can't rule out a 1,200-yard season. And you're getting him around wide receiver 30 now, no, wide receiver 32. It's, again, more expensive. I still think it's a value for players we're taking in that range. I think we're taking all these risky players. I don't think Ridley's risky. What do you two think?
Yeah, I mean, I like where I got him. I think the volume will be there. I like the upside as well. You know, he's kind of a big player. So I kind of have the stability with Judy where the volume is going to kind of give me a good floor. And then I have high upside with Ridley and as well as Thomas. Thomas is kind of a mixture of both where he's going to get high volume and high upside. So I like my receiver room. And then I kind of like the stability of my running back room where I'm kind of impervious to injury. Knock on wood. So I got, you know, kind of the backups for my running backs and that kind of 1A, 1B situation. And then I also really like the upside of my bench receivers with Darnell Mooney, Brandon Ayuk, and Quentin Johnston. I like how this one turned out, honestly. So
yeah, Ayuk in the 10th round, that price changes everything because it's no longer the fact of I took a risk on Ayuk. You didn't take a risk on Ayuk. It was the 10th round. And of a very competitive league where wide receivers are flying off the board. So, yeah, I love that pick as well. Team 10 spent the first 6 picks going 3 running backs, 3 receivers. Then they dealt with the onesie positions. But I thought that the combination of Genty, Kamara, and Caleb Johnson, it could be a very good volume backfield with Genty obviously having huge potential as a rookie. And then the receiver room, Drake London, who 13 targets a game with Penix, 11.3 targets the last 6 games. He was really showing to be the player we thought he was when he was drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. I think that Drake London could be the wide receiver 4, and it wouldn't shock me. Marvin Harrison, Ted McMillan. I just hope the Cardinals use him better. What were your thoughts on Team 10?
Yeah, I mean, I was going really, you know, back and forth on whether or not I wanted Genty. But I kind of just went with Thomas just because that's where the mouse was hovering.
He looks good though. I mean,
but I don't know. I mean, to me, with kind of having like a rookie quarterback coming in mid-season, something like that, it's like teams have less of an opportunity to kind of figure them out, and so who knows whether or not Penix will get figured out. I like London. He's an amazing receiver. But I always kind of worry whether or not these guys who come in mid-season last year, if teams have had time to kind of study up on them.
Makes sense. I also like how Team 10, they went round 7 and 8, tight end, quarterback, and then they waited, and then they came back 14 and 15 and repeated. So Jordan Love and Dallas Goedert as backups, very strong when Goddard's on the field. He's great, and Jordan Love, will see if they can get him back passing a little bit more. But I think waiting there and so they loaded up with 6 running back receivers, and then after those 2 onesie positions, they came back and went with 5 more running back receivers. I thought that was an interesting strategy, and it's not one I had considered, but I think that's one I will.
Seen that much before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Jordan Love there.
Yeah,
a great value, and I also like kind of Michael Pittman later in the draft as well. He's got that big, you know, wide receiver 1 upside. So
yes. Now we talked earlier about Team 5, who had Lamar in the 3rd and Laporta in the 6th. Team 11 went with the tight end quarterback early. Bowers in the 3rd, Jaden Daniels in the 4th.
I like this one.
Yes, obviously super, super high end. And then the running back room, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Jalen Warren, and then the Judkins Ford thing to see if they can get the 1. Sorry, I thought that was well played. And then the receiver room, you go from Nakua, Hunter, Olave, and Kupp. I think there's a lot of question. Something's got to give when you take the quarterback and the tight end early. And I think there's a lot of risk outside of Nakua at receiver. So I think that's just something they had to give. But for doing that, I think Team 11 came out as good as you could have from that build. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I had a hard time not taking Judkins, but I figured 2 Browns was enough.
Right? And that would come from the Cleveland fans, too. They'd probably tell you the same darn thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Finish it out with Team 12. Team 12 spent their first 7 picks. Make that 8. Hold on. I can't count. 7 or 8 picks on running backs, receivers. Yeah, so it was 5 receivers, 3 running backs. I think that's always a great strategy. You can, in their quarterbacks, they did fine with Fields and Goff. Tripled up on tight ends later. Hunter Henry, I think, was an amazing value. Brenton Strange. Actually, Mason Taylor could be the number 2 receiver in that offense as the tight end. And so I think dealing with that heavy running back receiver build, I think this team is very well set up for success. What were your thoughts on Team 12?
I personally just don't like Kenneth Walker. I'm not drafting him ever, so that's just me. Otherwise, I think it looks pretty decent. But him and Charbonnet, I don't know.
It's always kind of it's been crazy to me seeing Goff always going so late. I don't know.
Yeah,
To me, I feel like
he's
he's
a good value for
just
sure.
a big upside sort of quarterback. I mean, they air it out a lot. They score a ton.
Yeah, I guess if you add up those tight ends, they almost equal 1. I'm just kidding.
And it is a 6-point passing touchdown league, so Goff Goff is actually elevated in this because
yeah.
So last thing, I'm out the door here. This, as we know, is a Rotowire Online Championship, playing for $250,000. There are drafts going every day, live drafts, slow drafts. Regardless, we have you covered. So what you want to do is, if you want to join a league and draft with me again 2 weeks from today, we'll be drafting here in the same room, and love to have you come over. Go to playnffc.com. But if you want the direct link to the league, it's on my Twitter at Jim Coventry NFL. Click it on, join the league. We'll do the same video coverage for that draft as we did for this one. I will pin that to my profile after this draft is over because I wanted to keep the video for this draft up there. Any final words as we head out, Lauren and Nate?
Yeah, just if you're going to draft with Jim in the future, just know that you should probably get a running back early, and then you can save those receivers for later.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to use this build again, but maybe that'll be
the ADP in 2 weeks versus now, Jim. I think that should be really interesting. Number 1. Number 2, I can't wait to see everyone show up on your start sit show every Sunday morning to see, hey, who should I start, this tight end or this tight end? Because eventually everyone's going to start. That's the guy to ask. So be ready.
We had almost 900 people hanging out with us on a Friday night, which, hey, you know, if we're part of your Friday night, that makes us feel darn special. So thank you for making us part of your Friday night. Thanks for drafting those who are here. For everybody, for Lauren Jump, for Nate Jump, I'm Jim Coventry. Good luck in the league. And if you're watching, good luck in leagues you're going to draft in. We'll catch everyone soon.
See ya.